is really something that I stole from a friend, because, you know, teachers, good teachers just beg, borrow, and steal and then add their own personality to it. But a ponder was a way to get my kids to be able to express their thinking. And I wanted them to start thinking out of the box. I wanted to know, like, what do I need to do to get my kids to think in different ways and to be able to write about their thinking? Not write what they think I want to hear, but write what I'm thinking. So this is one example, and I showed this one yesterday, and I have a different one after this. But this is something that a friend of mine used. I shared it with her, excuse me, and she used it as a Google Classroom assignment. First thing in the morning in this remote learning environment, the kids have an icon. Oh, I see my other district in here again. I apologize. But first thing in the morning, they have a ponder sheet. And this ponder sheet is a way for them to express themselves and do a brain dump. So it can be written in bullet points. It can be written in sentences. I did not correct it. I just read it and checked it off. But I really wanted the kids to be able to express themselves in writing. Often our gifted kids and our other kids have difficulty expressing. And I know a lot of our gifted kids have thoughts, but they don't think they're correct. So they write what they think the teacher wants to read. I didn't want that. I wanted them to do a brain dump. I wanted them to be able to prove their own, with their own evidence, why they thought what they thought. So the way this works is there is some sort of puzzlement that is presented in the morning, like this one was the animal cell, plant cell, and you choose an icon, and maybe they ponder the rules of the parts of the animal and plant cell. Or for this example, put, a quote on the board. We used, when I taught ancient India, I used Gandhi quotes frequently in the morning, and they had to analyze the Gandhi quotes. We used Martin Luther King. I used poetry. I used dialogue quotes from novels we were reading. I used the periodic table. I used art. I don't always don't have a lot of time to get to art, so I would put up some sort of pointillism and have them analyze an aspect of pointillism by examining that painting. So for you, if this were your class and you were going to have them ponder this Martin Luther King quote, the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So my kids had this paper document, or you could do it in on a Google slide in Google Classroom. But just curious, what icon would you choose for this ponder, for your kids to analyze this quote? Contributions, thank you. Ethics. Often, yes, perspectives. Yeah. So it is entirely up to you as the teacher, whether you want them to analyze a particular icon or if you want them to choose one. Some days I had them choose. They can choose an icon, but they couldn't choose details because that was just way too easy. But I wanted them to, sometimes I wanted them to use icons that were not really natural icons. I wanted them to think outside of the box. This is a couple of samples of just what my kids did every morning and how I checked it off. And I would just say ponder, and I had all these different forms copied already, and I would just have one on their desk every morning. The first 15 minutes they came in, they took care of their personal items, homework, settled in, and did their ponder in the first 15 minutes, and then we started. So these are what my kids did every single day, because I value critical thinking. I value their thinking. I have, not in this presentation, but Ponder, my good friend who taught kindergarten did ponders every morning with her kindergartners. So it isn't an age specific thing. Often at the beginning, my kids would struggle. How many lines does it need to be? How many sentences does it need to be? And by the end of the year, I had kids that were writing on a notebook paper and attaching it. I had kids that were, as you saw, if you were in my previous session, connecting their ponder to something later in the day. So it really was just a way to get them to start thinking and value their thinking.